Hey, what's going on, party people from the fifth dimension? Blessings. Thank you for being here. Now, today's post is about telling the truth and being honest. And a lot of people think it's about telling the truth to people you meet or when it relates to something outside of yourself. But it all stems from, like most things in life, everything in the external world is a reflection of the internal world. So being honest with ourselves is the only place to start if we're going to be honest at all. Now, with the 4 Agreements, a book by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I cite this often, the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. And that's so true, because a lot of us are bullshitting ourselves quite often. And when we do that, there's no way that we can be any length of honest with anyone else if we're not being honest with ourselves. A lot of people are believing their own BS, and when you tell a lie enough times, you start to believe it, even if that's just a little lie, a micro lie, a white lie. So we're not focusing about so much here about the downside of lying. We all know that when you lie, you have to continue to lie to bolster that lie, and eventually everything that you do in your life that's is not coming from your wise self, coming as a channel from God through you, we know that that eventually comes back to bite us. Whether you want to call that karma, you want to call that, just deserved, whatever you want to call it, it's always going to catch up with you, because the universe, this beautiful celestial network system that we're in, it always has a perfect way of balancing chaos back to order, and then seemingly from order back to chaos, but everything comes back full circle. Not to get too metaphysical or theoretical or philosophical with you guys, today I really just wanted to emphasize standing in presence, being present in the moment is a good way of being more honest with ourselves, because when we're honest, we find the need to be present, because sometimes lies come from a place of reactivity instead of responsibility. And when we start to tell lies, usually it's just from a knee-jerk sort of programmed reaction, and we don't want to do that, obviously. So how do we get better with that? Well, one modality that's helped me tremendously throughout my healing journey, I talk a lot here about my healing journey, because that relates greatly to a lot of the content that I'm putting forth now. You've seen some of my old videos when I was very sickly. I was going through cancer, brain tumor diagnosis, chronic epilepsy, all of this stuff. And the only way to get any semblance of healing in your life is to begin being honest with yourself. And I believe that being honest with yourself is when we enact being present. And how do we become more present? Well, we sit in stillness and we sit in quietude. This has been something that's challenged me quite a bit, because we live in the cell phone age, we live in the gadget device age, the information age, the technological age. So there's always forces out there, whether we create them or self-impose them, or whether they're just there, that are always vying for our attention. It could be something that is related to a dopamine spike in our bodies. We want to quell it with food, we want to quell it with sex, we want to quell it with distractions of any sort. Distractions mask our truth, and our truth is buried trauma that has become compromised or disorganized, because not looking at where this is coming from, not healing generational wounds, and whether that means poor diet or health conditions or behavioral output, like how you act on a daily basis and how you're working. If we don't stay in a maintenance mode through meditation, through physical exercise, movement, whatever it is. We have a need for these things as living beings. We need to continue to keep moving. My grandmother, who lived to almost 101, she said that the secret to her longevity was to keep on moving, because it's true. A body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest will stay at rest. That's the law of inertia, and it's true. My step-grandfather, we called him Grandpa. He was a grandfather to me. He was diagnosed with cancer in, I believe it was probably his 60s, and he lived quite a while beyond the prognosis they gave him for when he would die and how he would die, because he kept moving, he kept walking, he kept active. It's not just about physical action either. It's about reading and absorbing information and training your mind to not only learn, but to utilize that knowledge and turn it into wisdom. So becoming a teacher, always a teacher, always a student. So you can't be a teacher if you're not a student. So teaching ourselves. So think about how you're working towards being honest with yourself and what you're doing every day. And if you can mitigate that, it sounds like friend Hector over here. I'm going to go say hi to him just a minute. Then we can live a happier life, just being honest. Sometimes truth hurts. Sometimes it's painful to tell the truth. It's like ripping off that Band-Aid. Once you get it off, it's all gravy, baby, at least for a while. So life's a process, always. So remember, tell the truth. When you know better, do better. I love you all. Have a beautiful day. Always. Peace and blessings.